Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
This episode of Tiger Turf Talk is brought to you by the Toro Company. For over 100 years, the Toro Company has been a leader in innovative solutions for turf maintenance. Through a strong network of professional distributors, Toro proudly offers a wide range of commercial-grade equipment. Visit Toro.com to explore their full lineup of products.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Tiger Turf Talk here on the road to SFMA, where we are here in Jacksonville, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. TIAA Bank Field, correct?
Everbank Stadium.
Everbank Stadium, I apologize. We're here with Nick Fedewa, sports field manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars. How you doing? Thank you so much for having us out. It's been an absolutely, like you said, gorgeous day and an awesome, just incredible day for the kids. So thank you for having us out. How's everything going?
It's going fantastic. This morning we had the seminar on wheels with the SFMA, and then you guys came in shortly thereafter as the buses were pulling out. Showed you guys around. It's turned out to be absolutely beautiful. It's sunny. It's 60, which we haven't reached in a while here. So it's perfect. Yeah,
perfect weather for SFMA for sure. Obviously, I mean, the brand new facility is absolutely incredible. We're sitting here in the AirPat housing, if we want to call it. Room, there we go. I mean, it's incredible to see what you have going on. If you sort of just give us a little overview, like we walked through, just what you've created here for the Jaguars, specifically with the AirPad system being like one of a kind almost. First one really introducing it to everyone on the big stage when it comes to just field maintenance and field management.
Yeah, so we were very lucky. When Urban came in as the coach, he wanted a new facility. And we were basically brought out to the old practice facility, which is right where we are now. Mm-hmm. And we were told, hey, we're getting a new facility. You're going to have a building here. You're going to have a building here. They said it's basically like the Dolphins had just built.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, can we get heat? Because that's like the biggest thing that I've ever wanted here. And they're like, well, we can talk about it. And then, of course, things happen with Coach. But the seed was planted and like, hey, how can we make these fields as good as we possibly can? Mm-hmm. And that's where, the Jaguars with Hamza, the director of football ops, and Lori, who was in charge of construction, were like, let's listen to what these guys have to say. And it was fantastic. Mark, my boss, Brian, my assistant, we kind of really got into what can we do. And, obviously everybody knows the names of what can heat and blow air. But we were really kind of blown away by what this can do, moisture management wise, and we can still heat, we can cool, we can do whatever we want with it. The way that we manage the fields here, this was what worked best for us. And once we explained it to the team, they were all in on it. And so they were able to work with Moat's group and put this in, and we've been extremely happy with it.
Now, like you said, there are so many things that you can do with it. The kids had the opportunity to talk to the Moat's group here earlier, and it's great just talking to you, like sort of just figuring it out. It's the first couple years of it. What have you been able to sort of observe, take into account, and sort of just making the decisions moving forward on what you want to do to ensure, the best and safest playing surface for the Jags?
Well, I think what I had originally thought was completely wrong.
It goes, right?
Which is exactly. And so, my biggest worry was, hey, when we start heating the fields, late November, December, kind of what are we going to see? And the way that this is done, blowing air through the vault and then up through the pipes, I was able to push more moisture into the soil. I wasn't going to dry it out. Mm-hmm. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, okay. And then, we go through some practices. It was a little bit softer than I wanted. There was more moisture there than I wanted it to be. So, in talking to other people who have different systems as well, we're all kind of dealing with the same thing. You push heat, there's going to be moisture. Mm-hmm. So we stop the heat, and then we run the vacuum before practice to get rid of as much moisture as we possibly can. And I had no idea. Like, I'm trying to manage for a moisture number. Mm-hmm. What's that number? I don't know what that number is yet. I've just been through one season starting at training camp. what's the weather like today? It's going to be like, okay, the heat was running when I came in.
Mm-hmm.
It's off now. Are we going to have to turn it back on later? It all depends. Now, we've got sensors in the field. We've got turf pods on the grass. We've got the evergreens down. I mean, I'm throwing everything at it so I can learn as much as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. Just so we can try to figure out, hey, what is that number? What's that number for today?
Yeah.
That number tomorrow is going to be completely different, but we'll worry about that tomorrow.
I think the part that it all plays here in Florida, your guys' weather it's not volatile, but it's so different at any given day, and really, just you never know what's going to come your way. So I think it's just so cool to be able to see that firsthand and be able to learn just the basics about what they did to install and make sure everything's good to go. But since it is such a new facility, new fields and all that, what are you really focusing on, culturally speaking, to get the field where you want it to be when it comes back around to, mini camp and all the OTAs and everything, coming up rather fast, unfortunately. The season's not over yet technically in the NFL, but it's still going to be like 2 weeks later, right?
It always comes fast, and that's what's good about it is you're like, okay, we can take a breath, and it's like, no, we've got to get back on it. And I think kind of how we approached it was after we lost our last game against the Titans, we came in on Monday, we brushed it, and we scalped it down to a half inch. I mean, we were at 5/8. Mm-hmm. And then later in the week, we came in and we uniraked it. We stood everything up. Let's get rid of all the dead stuff. Let's sweep it up. Let's get rid of all that. We solid tined it because we knew we were coming into a colder time. Mm-hmm. And so we put the evergreens down and we went ahead and cranked the heat. When I'm gone here in a couple of days, my assistant and my crew's fantastic too. We'll get to them.
For sure.
They're going to pull a core. They're going to top dress with black sand, and then we'll see what we're going to do beyond that. I don't know what the weather's like going forward beyond the 10 days, but we're going to be up into the mid 70s. I mean, that's perfect weather for us.
Kind of nice,
I mean, look, January.
We're going back to 10 degrees here in a couple of days.
January in Florida, it's hit and miss. I mean, we were 45 2 days ago for our high.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to be here. So we're just going to manage the day. And again, I can control all this from my phone. I don't have to because I have people that I trust here to do what they have to do, or I'm just a phone call away.
Yeah,
so I think once we get into the growing times, kind of, mid-March, workouts start up around mid-April, we'll go in and start doing some more. We might do a verticut on it. Just to get a little bit more cleaned out, try to get some stolons to move.
For sure.
We'll unirake again. I might do a couple more solid times, but I probably won't pull another core until after camp in June.
Gotcha. Yeah. So we talked about sort of all the different aspects of what you're covering. And one of the big things that you really don't get to talk about a lot are obviously the people behind it, and you were talking about your team, and obviously I want to get into that. But what has it been like being able to help sort of cultivate that crew and be able to create a trust where you're going to be on the opposite side of the country and they're going to do great work while you're gone, and to ensure that it's going to be playable, sure it's going to be ready for whatever workouts are going to come up or anything like that. What is that like, being able to cultivate and create that culture where, again, you have complete faith in your staff and they know that there's a standard set that everything you're trying to accomplish? Yeah,
well, I think it starts at the top. And Mark, my boss, does a good job letting people be who they are. He allows me to kind of manage the day-to-day, and then I can lean down on my assistant, Brian, to kind of get, down in the weeds. He's a people person. He deals with the coaches a lot more than I do. He moves all the equipment. He deals with the equipment staff. He's kind of that. And then our full-time guys, Lewis, Mike, and David, they've been with us a long time. I think David's been here 15 years. Mike's been here for 12. Lewis has been here for 4. And they didn't go to turf grass school. They just kind of were here. We hired them, and they can do anything.
Yeah.
they're getting better at everything each day. You know, are there times where we're like a married couple and we fight? Absolutely. Do I want to wring their neck? Do they want to wring mine? Absolutely. But that's part of what this is all about. And, you know, for me to go away, for me to do those games in London or to go and work the Super Bowl with the guys, you know, that's a trust that I have in them, that I know that they're going to get it done. And it's a weight off my shoulders.
Absolutely. Now, to go past even your staff, you know, and your crew, we were walking the practice facility. We talked about sort of all the coaches' offices that go right out on the field and everything. What has it been like creating that connection, not only with the coaching staff, but you have the equipment staff you're talking about, the training staff, you talked about the strength coach and everything, that, you know, being able to create, you know, a place where you want to come in every day and be a part of it and have an impact on a team that, you know, is going to be making a push for the playoffs here, moving on, you know, just all of these things that you're a part of. How is that, you know, here in Jacksonville? How has it been to sort of develop that over your time here?
Well, I think it starts because, one, I've been here for 22 years, going on 23.
Congratulations again.
I think the other part is it all starts from the top. I mean, Coach came in, and I knew, you know, Tony does great work in Philadelphia. So when Tony was like, you got a really good guy coming in, I knew that we could get in front of him and have a discussion. So that's been seamless. You know, if we have an issue, we'll go to him, and he'll go talk to the coaches. You know, 13 years ago, I told you the new director of football ops came in, Hamza, and he's just been fantastic. He's opened up our eyes to how things work inside the building, and whether it's this new building or the old building in the stadium, he's welcomed us in. He gave us schedules. He's like, hey, you know, if you're seeing this, go talk to this person. And that's been a game changer, where now we feel like we can go talk to coaches. We can go talk to players. We can go talk to the strength staff. We can go talk to equipment. Equipment's come out and helped us paint the end zones before, like filling them in.
That's awesome.
Their idea too. So, but training staff, I mean, everybody is just one here, and that is not only here, but that is also at the stadium, where our management team with ASM Global is right there with us. I mean, we have a new stadium manager who came in last year about this time. He's from Australia, worked in Hong Kong at one of the stadiums there. Him and the groundskeeper were super tight. So when he came in, he's like, I need to get to know you guys, because you guys are on the front line. And I mean, it's so much better than it's ever been here. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. It's incredible here, because it's so hard to get it to that point, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's great to hear from coaching staff to the event space, you know. There are so many things, and I kind of want to get into this now, because obviously you work for the Jaguars, and the Jaguars have a field for their football team, but it's a business and things happen, and you need to have concerts. You need to have all these events. You need to work alongside different groups and trying to accomplish, again, what is the safest service we can provide, while creating a space where they can have these events and they can just throw something at you and it's like, oh, okay, you know, I guess we got to do this now. What has that like been for you to, you know, combat the challenges of something like that, and being able to, you know, have the field prepped no matter what? We were talking about the Gator Bowl versus, you know, coming back to the Jaguars within, you know, less than 48 hours, like all these things, you know. What has that been like for you?
Well, first off, I don't work for the Jaguars. I work for ASM
apologize.
Global,
Gotcha.
Which is contracted out by the city. I think what is the biggest part is just communicating. And that's something that we've gotten so much better at, because there's trust both ways. We aren't trying to get one over on anybody. Like we had talked before, you know, we had cut pieces out before the Gator Bowl, resodded them, so we could just roll that up and roll out brand new grass post Gator Bowl before the Jaguars game two days later. You know, everybody's like, you know, why are we doing that? But then it comes down like, that's what it should be done. That's what should be done, because that's what will make it a much safer playing surface.
Yeah.
We have time to do it now, to where we can just roll up the grass and roll out the new grass. We don't have to worry about fixing it. It's just done. That's the kind of stuff that I sit back and go, years ago we couldn't have done that. I couldn't get on the phone and say, hey, this is an idea. What do you guys think? And the Jaguars and the Gator Bowl be on board and be like, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And it's awesome to be able to, hear from you guys and just see that that's actually coming to fruition and being able to have that conversation and be able at the table for those discussions, because some guys that I've talked to, it's just like non-existent. And it's kind of like they have to deal with what they're given and how they move forward. But, some of that, I mean, when it comes to the facility and everything, how have you been able to sort of put your own sort of twist on things, being able to create a space that works for your staff and works for the organizations that you work for? And obviously, like when it comes to, we talked about how you got your current space after being removed from your old one. How's it been, being able to have that here and see that sort of change over the years into something that, again, is such a workable space for you guys?
Well, again, I think that's built off trust, where we've put forth a constant product that is good. I won't say great because I think you're always trying to achieve the next one.
Yeah.
But it's just the trust that we've built up with our employers. And it's whether it's the stadium manager, whether it's an event manager, whether it's, event staff on the Jag side, they know, hey, I can go to Nick, Brian, whoever, and they'll figure it out, or they'll tell me the best way to do it, and I'll say, okay, go ahead and do it that way. Space-wise, yeah, we did go in and take a shot, but...
Not taken, earned.
Yeah. Earned. But again, there's a saying, which way do all the seats face?
Yeah.
And that's one that you can kind of throw out there every great once in a while, and we use that there, like, hey, we need a shop. We need to be able to wash our stuff off. We need to go in there and have all of our equipment in one space. And that's what allowed us to get that area is, okay, they need this space. They have to give a premium product every time. We can't be off once. And so they're like, okay, we believe that you guys need this and we can move the other people out. And that's trust.
Yeah, for sure.
The Toro company is known for innovation. For example, the Reelmaster 5010H improves performance and productivity. The industry's first and only reel mower with a true hybrid drive system. Save up to 20% on fuel use while also lowering costs and lowering the vehicle's carbon imprint. Visit Toro's website today to learn more about this revolutionary mower and discover the power of sustainable and efficient grounds maintenance.
Now, obviously, when we talk about, and the kids have been able to do this in our classroom, be able to experience what a season's like and all the different things that go into creating an NFL field. What is it for you that you love about that grind? Because there's really nothing like it. There's just so much effort, time, energy, and people when it comes to during the season getting a field ready for a game while having the practice facility operating at a high level. What is it for you that really just, gets you to the point where like, this is what I love? And obviously for 23 years,
Yeah. I've been asked that many times, especially by my wife.
It's always the family. They're like, why?
Yeah. Why are you doing this? Why are you on the phone at 8:00 at night? Why are you doing this? It's the finished product. And I've said this time and time again, to have somebody walk out and see the field for the first time, or I post a cat head picture almost every game on Twitter, and just to see the responses, the positive ones. There's negative ones that are always thrown out there.
Those are usually pretty funny. That's the part you're like, yeah, okay.
where's the Santa hat?
Yeah.
Okay, the Santa hat can't be done. It's the NFL rule. Anyways, I enjoy coming to work every day with these guys. Again, do we get frustrated? Absolutely. Is stuff thrown our way that we don't want to have to deal with? Absolutely. But if you work through those, what you come out with on the other side, it just makes you feel better. And I will butcher this. I was watching a podcast with Goggins. I mean, anything with Goggins. And the guy was talking about if you do something you hate and you accomplish that, there's an area of your brain that gets bigger. And the bigger that is, the better you feel. The better you feel, the longer you live. I don't want to butcher the name of it's a cortex of something. But I saw that, I heard that, and I'm like, that's what we do.
Yeah.
You grind, you can be so frustrated, like, I do not want to go into work today. Or during the day, I cannot believe that this is happening. You work through it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're like, we did it. I can't believe it. Like, we actually got it done.
Yeah.
And we got it done faster than anybody thought that we could. That's the part that I love.
That's awesome. I love that because people don't think like that. And it's hard to get people to understand, like the struggle of what we do at the same time as that moment of almost clarity at the end, where it's like, okay, now I remember why I do it, like.
And I'm horrible at letting other people know that I appreciate that in them. I've really tried to get better at that. I'm not great at leading people. I can be better at a whole lot of stuff, everything. But when I get in the car and go home, and I get in the car and I'm just like, we did it.
Yeah.
We accomplished that day what needed to, and then we went a little bit above. And there's nothing better. If you leave work every day thinking that, you're winning.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more. There's a lot that goes into what you do, and there are certain areas, like you said, that you excel at, certain areas that you could improve on. What are some of those things that you continuously try to educate yourself on? I always talk to the kids, like, if you're not trying to learn new things, if you're not trying to understand something in a different way, you're never going to grow, and you're never going to be able to have that opportunity to be successful. That's why I kept doing the podcast after COVID. So again, we did this for COVID, but listening to what you guys have to say and understanding, like, I'll call him out. We were talking about how Travis and his mind works, and it's like, what in the world's going on half the time, right? But being able to talk to somebody with that sort of experience and see what they're going through and try and applying it to what we do, even if it's just a high school level type thing, but it's something where it's always evolving. What are certain things that you're looking at every year, every day, even when it comes to just sort of growth for you and your staff?
Well, this is where it's fun for me. I get to go do the things that a lot of people want to do. I get to go work the international games because the Jaguars run their own game.
Yeah.
I get to go work with Carl Stanley for a week. Like, that's crazy. I get to go, talk with him, talk shop with him, go deal with Wayne at Tillers, work with Nick Pappas. So I can take stuff from Carl on how he works with mental health in the UK, which we all need help with, especially me. And then I can go, work with Nick on how he plans. He's an amazing planner. Like, he is dialed in. I can reach out to Travis and we can have a talk about. It doesn't matter where it starts. You don't know where that talk's going. Travis, I love you, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
We love you, dude.
Brian Johnson, Pete Wozniak, Mike Reno. The list goes on and on. I mean, how they paint. This past year, we've had to paint more backgrounds than we've ever had to. And I'm taking kind of what I learned from them just watching and telling my guys, hey, try this. Showing them videos of that. Like, let's just try to get better. Let's not use as much paint. Let's grow the grass back more. I take from everybody. I mean, I take from Mark. I take from the way that Hamza does things. I take from the way that Seth in the workout room does things. My guys on my staff, they'll come up with an idea, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Like, that's the easiest way possible. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Take stuff from everybody. You never know where it's coming from.
I love that. Now, obviously, we're talking about international games and everything, and like you said, Jaguars are always somewhere in the UK at some point, right? What has that been like? Obviously, it was been like 6 years now since it went over. Maybe a little longer. 10
years. So the Jaguars just played their 10th game.
Okay, so how has that been for you, being able to sort of be a part of that and be at the forefront, because it was like 3 or 4 years where it was just Jacksonville and no one else was going over. But being able to be a part of that group and just being able to see how things are done over there. Again, Carl, incredible human being, like all the things that's going on, whether it's Wembley, Tottenham, now Frankfurt and Munich. Was it Munich?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it like being part of that? And like you said, bringing stuff back and just all the incredible things that are going on with it.
Where to begin? Blessed is the first one. I first started going over there in 2014. I was with Spud, Timmy with the Dolphins, and Kevin Hansen was there as well. Went over there. I was like, wow, this is great. Kept going back. And then the Jaguars have decided to run their own game. So it's not an NFL run game. And so Hamza again was like, hey, Nick, you've been there. The people, you've got the connections. We trust you. Can you go out there and help Carl run the game? Like, go out there with your own crew, paint. So I take Spud, Brian Johnson, Scotty Parker. And we go out there and we have a great time. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But we go out there and, we manage the practice facilities at these places that are, just amazing. Golfing places, resorts, and you're just like, I get to be here. You're talking with more groundsmen. And, Darren Baldwin at Tottenham, Wayne when he was at Tottenham, now he's at Tiller's where we get the sod from. I mean, you just go there and you're like, okay, open mind. Because I haven't worked on cool season grass since I worked on a golf course back home in Michigan. It's been so long.
It's a little different, right?
Yes, I overseed with it, but as soon as the season's done, it's gone.
Yeah.
And we spray it out as fast as possible. So it's an experience that is hard to really put into words. Each time that we go, we're so looking forward to going, and then at the end, we're like, where'd the time go? I mean, we learn, what is Carl doing at this level now? I mean, for God's sakes, he's ripping out his Deso now, and he's just going to go with Wayne's grass. I mean, the way that things evolve there, I mean, a tractor barely touches their surface.
That's the stuff that I'm like,
they're ahead of us.
Yeah.
And so each time we go, we're like, what are we going to learn now?
Yeah.
And it's something that I wish I could put into words better. It's just an experience that when you go and you're a turf grass guy, we can sit down there with Carl and just talk the entire day away just about grass.
Yeah.
And that's not getting into any of, the painting and stuff. Carl's staff can paint now. That's what is really helpful for us. We go there and we use his entire staff. Carl likes to paint the hash marks. So Carl and his staff go and paint hash marks. And we're like, thank you. Like, we don't want to paint those.
I don't have to carry the stencil.
Yeah, this is easy now.
Yeah.
But it is an amazing thing where, I think everybody needs to go over there, and it's tough because it's during the season, and last year we had the Florida-Georgia game when I was gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you miss that? Well, because our company trusts our staff that they can do it when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Actually, it was the day after the year before. They absolutely killed it paint-wise. And it's one of those things where, I don't have to be here.
Yeah.
They can do it by themselves. And everybody trusts them to do it. Again, it's just a blessing that's all the way around.
And it's a testament to you as a leader when it comes to stuff like that, being able to instill that standard. I was talking to a couple other guys and from Charlotte. It's just there's a level of professionalism and understanding that had to be taught and had to be learned in a way that it's stuck. Because I work with high schoolers, and these three are some of the best that I have, obviously. But when you put the numbers together, not a lot of it actually sticks, but in order for that to be successful, and from what it sounds like, have 4 years, 10 years tenure here, that's incredible. So it's a testament to what you've been able to accomplish as a leader. And
even the good ones make mistakes, as we learned.
All right, we might as well tell this story because this is funny. I do want to get back to the... So for those that want to know, We had a situation where Zach was unloading something out of the truck and decided to leave the entire back of the truck wide open while we took a tour of the facility, which was like an hour and a half, where it was just completely open, including the keys to the truck, including the actual case that holds all of our podcast stuff. That probably has upwards of $3,000, $4,000 worth of stuff in it, just wide open. And what Nick said was that they stole 2 cars from the baseball facility last night right across the street. But luckily, it's all here. We live and we learn. I'm going to still have to process it some more. But, it's...
But, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you do your best. I already said that I'm not a great leader. I mean, I try to be good most days. Are there times where I lose it? Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody does. People have a better way of masking it than I do. But I think at some point, if you do something to the way that you want it to be done long enough, people are going to follow that. Mm-hmm. And, am I the best painter? No. Am I the best grass grower? No. Am I the best leader? No. Am I serviceable at most of them? Yeah. And I think the reason that our field is the way that it is because of those guys 99% of the time. Mm-hmm. Our inputs are very small.
Yeah.
So to be able to go, hey, you guys are able to do it. I don't have to be here for this bit of time, and they're going to kill it. It's awesome.
Let's take a moment to acknowledge our sponsor, the Toro Company, and their Workman UTX. The Workman UTX is tough and dependable with the highest payload in its class, rugged design, powerful performance, and unmatched versatility. It gets the job done without compromise. Visit Toro's website to learn more. Now, to go back to sort of the overseas, what was your first experience when you saw the new system at Tottenham? Is it Tottenham?
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like? Because in video, obviously, you see all of these things and how it's carted in and all. It's just absolutely insane to see it happen. What is it like, firsthand being there and seeing it?
Well, I think, again, beyond lucky to go, work a game at Wembley while Tottenham was being built, but we could still go there and take a look around with Darren. And, he's like, yeah, this is going to be here, this is going to be here, this is going to be here. We're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then you go out to their practice facility, which is beyond belief. 21 fields, maybe more now. I mean, just top of line everything. And then you go back the next year and you're like, this is stunning. The fact that the grow lights span the entire pitch, mm-hmm. and the fact that they're pulled up with 20-ton lifts on each side, and the way that it breaks apart and goes back behind, I still go back there and I'm in awe. Mm-hmm. Everything changes each year. They aren't doing the same thing every single year. And I think that's what we take from them most is like, hey, things can change. They have robotic mowers, but they don't really use those anymore. They use, kind of RC cars that pull it behind. It's stuff like that. You're just like, and I'm, beyond thankful that I get to grow grass here. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, my gosh, you look and see, what stadiums are doing here, and you're like, what's next? I mean, look at Real Madrid. You're like, what are these?
In what world did you say, hey, let's just build it down into the ground?
I would love to do that here, but the water table's 8 feet down. I'm so close to the ocean. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's stunning what people can do when they work together as a team. The Raiders Stadium, Arizona, those are the top of the line here. What's Tennessee going to be like? Those are things like moving forward, what can we push ourselves more on? I mean, even here, there's a new stadium that will be here at some point in time. There's going to be a roof on it. There's no answer if it's going to be grass or turf yet. I mean,
the ideas you just brought up, though, that's just insane.
Yeah, let's drop lights down from the ceiling and plug them in. You've already got the structure there. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts that come into that. What are we going to use the stadium for? I mean, events, I'm sure, are going to be piling into a brand new stadium, especially in Florida. But I'll try to get in front of as many people as I can to say, hey, grass can work. I've seen grass work in all these areas. You've got the World Cup coming up, which they're going to be growing grass inside for how long? I mean, we're moving forward here, almost trying to catch up with where they are there. And that's the best part about going there and coming back and trying to forward this here. I mean, and, being able to talk it over with, Nick and Mike, who are over there all the time. Brian's there all the time, Scotty and them. It's just like, wow, like we're going places. Yeah. And it sounds weird, like, oh, turf grass is going places, but no, like this is what we love. Like, look at where this is going. This is going. Like, I want that next step.
I think the craziest thing about what they've been able to accomplish over there is to show that grass can be paramount to artificial in a sense, but at the same time, like, understand why and be able to showcase, okay, it's for player safety. And I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to get people to understand that and not just, be the turfy that everybody wants to have grass. Because, I mean, I have the conversations with people, like, obviously there are certain scenarios, when you have FC and an NFL team, that's kind of a crazy ask to do both. Like, I would never want to wish that upon anyone, right? No. That's not how it works, right? So it makes sense, and that's probably a safer option when it comes to things like that. But what they've been able to do, and to have people like Carl and John Ludwig and all those guys who have been able to put that out to not just the general public, but like the professionals. And then we had the whole... Messi came in and said, I'm not playing artificial turf, like that was a shock to the system. Everyone was like, there's no way this is happening right now, right? So I think it's just incredible what they've been able to do over there when it comes to the professionalism side, as well as just the awareness of what natural grass is capable of, because we've been able to talk to a few people, and they've said over the years it's been so hard to, not say no anymore, we have to showcase it now. We have to be able to say, yeah, I can.
Your job is to say yes.
Exactly.
You make it work. And, I mean, that's not to say that there aren't guys here who are doing the impossible, because there are. I mean,
100%.
Danny, what he has to do in Charlotte. Parker, what he has to do in Atlanta. I mean, guys in Miami. I mean, there's guys everywhere. Tennessee. I mean, it rained. Look at Grinders Field in San Francisco.
Phenomenal.
Amazing.
Sean up in Baltimore, pouring.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're obviously moving in, I told you how, I can't stand to look at our field pregame and be like, okay, I know they're in individual drills. Like, I understand, once the game starts and it starts to even out, like, okay, I can start to relax.
Yeah.
But, if you look back at NFL games 5 years ago, you're like, what were we thinking? That was good?
Yeah.
That's not acceptable now.
Yeah.
And as everything keeps getting higher and higher, and the standards and the expectations are higher, that's just going to raise our game. And I think that's where the professionals that we are, are stepping up to that challenge. Like you said, every game that was played this weekend looked phenomenal. It's January.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's heat. I mean, even Travis last week. I mean,
the
there's
fact that it was
that
playable with negative 30 degrees, like,
it looked fantastic.
Yeah,
it played great. Was it as green? No, you aren't going to be able to make it.
If you asked for green,
it's like, but that would be the only thing that you can say. Oh, it was a little bit. It's not frozen. I mean, Allen's been doing this stuff for years, and that he's like the godfather of that heating, and
the stories he told us,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had him on, we didn't really post it or anything, but we had it on for the kids, so I would like post it in class, and the things that the stories like from when a tarp froze to the surface and like all the things, and learning all these things, he was like the forefront of all of it. And I think that's like incredible to see all of it sort of come to fruition, in the sense of, Travis always talks about, he talks to Alan and goes to other people, and just to see all that sort of cohesively come together, it's just so cool how our industry operates.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in contact with quite a few groundskeepers just throughout the week. I'm not even, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Because it's not about what you're doing. It's about how you're doing. And guys do that to me, and it's awesome because there's times where you're just like, I don't know. I don't know how I am.
Yeah.
I'm surviving because it is a grind.
Yeah.
And people mask it with a lot of stuff like, oh, you know, I'm busy. I'm just stressed. When it's like, no, like you need to look out for your fellow man, for your fellow turf grass guy, you know. And that's what I really like about this profession. I mean, you know, like I said, Carl, with the way that he took this stand on mental health, awesome.
Yep.
I mean, he probably cares more about his guys than most anybody does, and people wouldn't even know. I mean, when he asks you, how are you doing? People actually answer him like, no, this is how I'm feeling, because they know that they're going to get a genuine response. But, you know, when I talk to anybody, it's like, okay, how are you doing? And then what are you doing? How are you dealing with this? How are you doing with that? Because everybody knows the same stress that we're under. I mean, what Travis went through, you know, Sean, Buffalo. It's fake grass. You still have to get rid of all that stuff. You know, it's what they're dealing with. My gosh. Like
The fact that it kept snowing. I can only imagine what the stories are of those fans that come to help and everything. You know,
I will complain about the weather here because it gets cold. You know, we aren't on the Gulf side. We're northeast Florida. We get nor'easters, probably more so than we ever want. This year it was super rainy. But, you know, I don't have to deal with that. There's a reason why I moved from Michigan. But, yeah, it's, again, it was 41 out when we started driving this morning. When you got here, it was 65.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you've brought him up a couple of times, and I think, honestly, you know, some of them are really good friends of mine and everything. The NFL guys, there's just such a unique group of human beings that, you know, you're all in contact, you're all working together, you're all trying to get to the same place, you know?
Yeah.
And something that, you know, being able to talk to you guys and see what you guys are doing, how has it been? Because the culture of NFL groundskeepers is different than most, in the sense of, you know, talk about mental health, you talk about caring, and talk about, you know, there's so much stuff that goes into it, and being able to talk to other people really is a game changer, right?
Yeah.
What is it like being a part of that, you know, cohort, that brotherhood of the NFL groundskeepers? And what would you say to, you know, listeners about, you know, being able to bounce ideas off you, have the conversation, and the impact that's had on your career here in Jacksonville?
You know, I think it starts, I did my internship at Northwestern in Chicago, and I got to meet Kenny Marock. And this was 25 years ago. And he's kind of stayed with me and followed me. And he's probably the most caring person that you're ever going to meet. He'll also chew you out in a heartbeat, and tell you where you stand. And I think that it kind of starts with those guys. It starts with the Kenny Marock, you know, George Toma, you know, who obviously kind of started it all. But we've been doing this thing where we get together once a year for 17 or 18 years at a symposium. Well, now we've pulled that in-house. Now we've formed our own alliance. And kind of what we're trying to do is, you know, get everybody closer. I mean, we've done a very good job. I mean, reach out, we talk to people. But we're also crass. We're also frustrated. We're also angry. I mean, I can be like on the Tour on Wheels. I was talking with the guy from Houston. Man, they should not be in the playoffs. Like we should be there. So I'm frustrated at him because they made it, or you know, be frustrated at Travis, you know, because his team's in the championship again. It's like Travis, like come on now. But at the same time, like you want those guys to just do good, and whatever we can do to help in any way, shape, or form. An ear, you know, a body. If anybody needs help anybody will drop whatever we're doing and go help if need be. And I think that's what this is all about, is we all want to be moving forward. We all want to do better, and we want everybody to be better for it. I mean, I try to reach out to most people, during games where, it's raining or whatever, and be like, hey, man, how's things going?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm closer with the guys down here in Miami. Wayne was at Tampa. Now I'm with Tim. Mike in Tennessee. We've gotten to know each other working with the Alliance now and stuff. And it's we all just want to be the best at what we do as a group. Because we want this to be we want everybody to be safe and healthy, but we also know that we're getting pushed all the time, event load wise, time wise, weather wise. It's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
So let's just keep pushing everybody up.
For sure. And I mean, something that, when it comes to the grind and comes to all the different things that you have to deal with, something that I'm always interested to hear from you guys is, what is it that you can use, whether that's, in your personal life or, just professionally, like, what's sort of your out? What is your, okay, I need to take a step back, this is what I can do, just to sort of breathe, whether that's, time with the family, different things like that. What's sort of your out of, the stress, the chaos of work, and being able to take a second to, breathe, really, because it's really hard. It's just, It's not really in a groundskeeper's DNA to take that moment, because it's just, you're wired to work and figure out how to fix the problems and make sure everything's working right. What is it for you that you've been able to do the past and really just learn what that is, because I'm sure at the beginning of everyone's career, there really isn't a way out, right? Yeah. So what is it for you that you've sort of been able to find a way to get out, in a sense?
Therapy.
Love that.
Angry kid. And just being honest, therapy was the only thing that really worked. God, I was angry, man. And I've had conversations with Carl about it before, kind of when the whole mental health thing, and I was going to therapy before that, and not trying to hide it from anybody. Whatever you want to do that makes you better, that's not destructive. We all are destructive on our own. But therapy, communication with loved ones, whether it's family, your extended family, wife, kid, whoever. Are there times where I go home and I'm angry at the world? Absolutely. Are there times where I'm here and I'm angry at the world? Absolutely. Do my guys get it? Absolutely. Do they give it? Oh yeah, they give it.
You're there for each other, right?
But yeah, and it's one of those things where, yeah, like everybody needs a break. I can go to therapy and have a 1-hour session and get so much off my chest to somebody who doesn't care about football, who doesn't even know grass. Why are you worried about grass? Dude, you have no idea.
Yeah.
I've got how many millions of dollars out there that we need to keep safe. That's not something that I've been like, hey, everybody needs to go to. It works for me. And if I talk to somebody who's kind of down, I'll be like, hey man, like you might want to try this out. It's worked for me. It's sitting down and just not thinking about it. And that's what was the hardest for me, is I would always constantly think. And then you think about why you're thinking about it. And then you think about why you're thinking about why you're thinking about it. And it just drives you insane. And I just got to the point of, I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of going home angry. And so you can go talk to somebody. Obviously, you want to find somebody who's not a fan, who doesn't care about what you do.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, here's what I'm going through. And they'll be like, hey, think about it this way, Take your feelings and just, okay, here they are. You don't need to hide them. Like, you just went through a really bad time. This game was bad for you because of this reason. Own that What can you do better next time? How can you manage it differently next time? There's always something that you can do different. Will it be better? Possibly. Let's find out next time. Just make sure that there is a next time.
For sure. That's incredible because, I mean, it's hard for a lot of people to go through that and understand that they need that. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
You know, that's what this is all about. And, you know, talking with Carl, you know, it's one of those things where he's the face of it there. I mean, face on the cover of a magazine. Carl at Wembley.
Yeah.
Dude, the most respect I can have for anybody is the man who stood up there and put his face on that magazine and said, let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
And he's staying true to it. Wonderful human.
Yep, for sure. We love you, Carl, for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, you're coming up on a trip, obviously, to Vegas. Super Bowl's such a huge part of the year for a lot of groundskeepers, whether their team's in it or not, right? Could you sort of give an idea of what that experience is like and what you're looking forward to when you leave on Wednesday? We've seen Brian out there with Nick already, you know, pedal to the metal. I mean, it's head over heels different. Like there are so many things that they're trying to put together, culturally speaking, in such a short time frame that, you know, it's necessary for when you have the biggest stage, right?
Yep.
What are you looking forward to, and what are you excited for this year from years past? And just sort of that whole experience, give a little insight into it.
So we had Super Bowl 39 here. I think it was my third or fourth year, 2003 or four, somewhere around in there. And I was like, I don't know if I can even be part of that group. You know, just they came in and it was like the Tasmanian devil, and then they were gone.
Like we're doing what? You're over here now? What?
Yeah. And so, you know, in Tampa, I was able to go a couple years ago, and then went again in Arizona last year, and with Nick being in charge now, and working so much with him, and thinking the world about how he does things. I'm looking forward to the change of him being in charge. And the way that he is going to go about doing it. You know, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And working with him on the overseas trips and just talking to him as a friend, as a fellow peer, you know, working on stuff for our London games, which never stops. I mean, that always goes. And then the camaraderie. That's what it's all about. I mean, I get to see people that I haven't seen in years. We get to talk about their seasons, talk about how we're doing, talk about families. I mean, I see a lot of them on the international trips and stuff, but, you know, it's, hey, what can we do this year that we didn't do last year? I mean, everybody knows that there was a bunch of stuff last year that's gone out on other podcasts. That doesn't need to be brought up here.
No.
But see how good this one's going to be. That's what I'm looking forward to. I mean, I know the amount of work that Nick and Mike have put in. And I'm looking forward to going out there and, you know, seeing the grass, seeing the stadium. I've never seen the stadium. So
Allegiant or whatever it is. Yeah.
The last time that they had gone there for our NFL symposium, my wife's grandfather had passed, and he was absolutely the stand-up guy in the family. I mean, he was the patriarch, and so it's like I'm not missing out on that. So I'm looking forward to going out there, seeing, you know, Colin,
That's
Zach.
Awesome.
So, you know, I haven't been out to Vegas since the SFMA was there for my 21st birthday. That didn't go well. So
21st birthday SFMA. That's got to be awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been a while. It's hard to leave my family for that long, especially when he's just kind of getting back into school. You know, but at the same time, it's like they understand this is what I need to get better. And they want to push me to get better, and they want to push me to do things that are out of my comfort zone. This is obviously one.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited for you guys. I'm really excited to see the field and everything that's going on out there. We're obviously here with some of my students and obviously our program. We have a bunch of kids that are looking to go into this industry, and there are so many things that I can't teach them and I can't show them firsthand at Brentsville. So we kind of like wrap up on these two questions because it's always interesting to see, and it's incredible insight to them for them. And this question, it's not to make anything better or easier for your journey, but if there was something you wish you knew when you first started off in the industry, what would that one thing be and why?
That's a good question. And I've heard you ask it, and like as you're asking it, you're like, okay, I'm going to say, yeah, no.
And then it's just
it goes out the window. If there's one thing that I could do different, don't be so prideful. Don't think that you know what you're doing. You don't. You'll be checked really, really quick. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where I came down here. Okay, I'll be down here for a bit, and then I'll go be a head guy somewhere else. Yeah, things don't work that way. I mean, 23 years, going on my 23rd year, couldn't be happier. But that's one thing is like, check your pride at the door because you don't know what you're going into.
Absolutely. Definitely something for a younger generation. I'm very lucky and very blessed with my kids. Obviously, they're great kids. So they don't.
I also want to say that to my 11-year-old. Stop being so prideful.
We'll get you the timestamp for him so he doesn't have to listen to the whole podcast. And then obviously they're heading down to their first SFMA and being able to be a part of that. What would be your best words of advice for them? Sort of taking that next step in the industry. We've got kids who have already accepted college programs for turf, and what would your best words of advice for them be taking that first step and sort of seeing what this industry has to offer?
So do something that I'm not very good at. Going up and talking to people. I mean, I will, if I don't know you, chances are I'm going to walk past just because I feel odd. I don't know what to talk about. Like, you want to talk about grass? I mean, like, that's why, my assistant Brian is the people person. Like, he knows coaches' kids, and I'm just like, what? Like, he's the people person.
Yeah.
I'm that guy in the party that will stand on a wall and have a great time watching everybody else.
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone. Go and talk to people. The way you do things in this business, in this industry, is by people that you know. There's so many things that you will learn from other people that you don't want to find out doing it yourself. Mm-hmm. You want to find out what not to do by listening to other people. You'll do plenty that you don't want to do by yourself. So go out there, have those conversations. Go talk to everybody. It doesn't matter if they're middle schools, high schools, parks and rec, colleges, division, 3, does not matter. We're all dealing with the same thing. Mm-hmm. People see us and they see the insignia behind us, and oh, you work at this brand new facility, still dealing with the same problems that you have. Shade.
Yeah.
We all have the same problems. Like, there's no way to get light there. Those light rigs are very, very nice. I don't have any room, don't have any money.
Yeah.
So we can't be doing those things. So go out, talk to as many people as you possibly can, and just cultivate those relationships.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much. This is incredible. I can't thank you enough. Can't thank you enough for showing them around and allowing us to come in and just be a part of it. I really do appreciate it. Excited for the next stop in Daytona. Super excited for you guys out in Las Vegas again. We appreciate everything, and we can't thank you enough. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.